Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight, we're stepping back to one of the most gruesome and iconic unsolved murders in American history, the Black Dahlia case, the brutal killing of Elizabeth Short. It was January 15, 1947, in Los Angeles, California. A young mother named Betty Bersinger was walking with her daughter in the Leimert Park neighborhood when she spotted what she thought was a discarded mannequin lying in a vacant lot. As she got closer, she realized it was the body of a woman, severed in half at the waist. The victim was 22-year-old Elizabeth Short, an aspiring actress from Massachusetts who had moved to California, dreaming of Hollywood stardom. She was known for her striking dark hair and preference for black clothing, which led the press to nickname her the Black Dahlia, a play on a recent film called The Blue Dahlia. Her body was posed deliberately. The lower half was placed about a foot away from the upper half, with arms bent over her head. Her face had deep cuts from ear to ear, creating a grotesque smile known as a Glasgow grin. She had been drained of blood, meticulously cleaned, and there were signs of mutilation, including precise surgical-like cuts that suggested the killer had medical knowledge. Elizabeth was last seen alive on January 9th, leaving the Biltmore Hotel in downtown LA, where she was meeting someone. She had been living a transient life, moving between friends and short-term romances, writing letters home about her hopes for fame. The discovery sparked one of the biggest media frenzies in history. Newspapers sensationalized the story, focusing on her beauty and rumored wild lifestyle, though much of it was exaggerated. Over 60 people confessed falsely, and tips flooded in, but nothing solid. Police found no fingerprints at the scene, and the body had been washed clean of evidence. A few days later, the killer, or someone claiming to be, sent packages to the newspapers containing Elizabeth's belongings, like her address book and birth certificate, cleaned with gasoline to remove traces. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills, and comment below. What do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. Handwriting on notes taunted the police, promising to turn himself in but never doing so. One letter was signed by the Black Dahlia Avenger. Suspects emerged quickly. Doctors were looked at because of the precise bisection. Severing the body cleanly through the spine isn't easy without skill. One prominent theory came from Steve Hoddle, a former LAPD detective whose father, George Hoddle, was a surgeon suspected in the 1940s. George owned the Sowden House, a Mayan-inspired mansion, and was accused of other crimes. Wiretaps caught him saying cryptic things like supposing he killed the Black Dahlia. Steve's books argue strongly for his father, pointing to handwriting matches and photos resembling Elizabeth. Other suspects included gangsters, jealous lovers, and even a bellhop at the hotel. The investigation involved hundreds of officers, but leads dried up. The case went cold, officially unsolved for decades. Now, fast forward to today. Just days ago in late December 2025, a major new theory exploded into the headlines. An independent investigator named Alex Baber claims to have cracked not just the Black Dahlia, but linked it to another infamous killer, the Zodiac. Using AI and cryptography, Baber says he solved the Zodiac's unsolved Z13 cipher, revealing the name Marvin Merrill, an alias for Marvin Margolis, a man who was briefly a suspect in Elizabeth's murder back in 1947. Margolis knew Elizabeth. They had a volatile relationship. He lied to police about how well he knew her. He served in the military, learning surgical and marksmanship skills that matched the crimes. Even more chilling, Margolis, dying of cancer in the early 1990s, drew a sketch titled Elizabeth, showing a mutilated woman with hidden shading spelling Zodiac. Retired detectives, including some who worked the cases, call it overwhelming circumstantial evidence, handwriting comparisons, connections through ciphers. Baber says it's mathematically impossible for it not to be him. The LAPD has been informed, but the case isn't a priority, and they may never officially close it. Skeptics point out Margolis was cleared in 1947, and some details don't perfectly align. But with this bombshell just breaking, forensic testing on family items is underway. Could this finally connect two of America's darkest mysteries? Elizabeth Short's life was cut short in the most horrific way. Her dreams shattered. Her family searched for answers that never came. Nearly 79 years later, is justice finally in sight? What do you think? Was it Marvin Margolis linking Black Dahlia to Zodiac, George Hodel, or someone else entirely? Share your theories in the comments below. I read them all. If this case chilled you, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly dives into the dark. Your support helps keep these stories alive. Thanks for joining me tonight. Stay safe, and we'll uncover another mystery soon. Good night. Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight, we're exploring one of the most heartbreaking and baffling unsolved cases in American history, the murder of 6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey. It was Christmas 1996, in Boulder, Colorado. The Ramsey family seemed to have it all. John Ramsey was a successful businessman, his wife Patsy was a former beauty queen, and their children, Burke and little JonBenet, lived in a beautiful home, in an upscale neighborhood. JonBenet was no ordinary child. She was a rising star in child beauty pageants, often seen in sparkling gowns and crowns, with her bright smile lighting up the stage. On December 25th, the family celebrated the holiday like many others. They attended a Christmas dinner at a friend's house, returned home late, and everyone went to bed. The plan was to wake early the next morning for a family trip, but the morning of December 26th changed everything. Patsy Ramsey woke up around 5:30 a.m. and went downstairs. As she descended the spiral staircase, she found a handwritten note on the steps. It was 2.5 pages long, claiming that JonBenet had been kidnapped. The note demanded $118,000 in ransom, almost exactly the amount of John Ramsey's recent bonus from work. It warned that if the money wasn't delivered properly, JonBenet would be beheaded. Patsy screamed and ran to check JonBenet's room. The little girl was gone. John called the police immediately, and officers arrived within minutes. Friends and family soon gathered at the house for support. The police treated it as a kidnapping at first, advising the Ramseys to wait for a ransom call. Hours passed with no call. Around 1 p.m., a detective asked John Ramsey and a family friend to search the house one more time. John went straight to the basement, to a small wine cellar room that was rarely used. There, behind a closed door, he found his daughter's body. JonBenet was lying on the floor, covered with a white blanket. Her hands were tied above her head, her mouth was sealed with duct tape, and a cord was tightly wrapped around her neck, fashioned into a garrote, a device used to strangle someone slowly. She had been struck on the head with severe force, causing a skull fracture, and strangled. There were signs of sexual assault as well. The scene was chaotic. The police had not secured the house properly from the start. Friends were coming and going, potentially contaminating evidence. No footprints were found in the light snow outside, and the basement window that some thought could be an entry point had a suitcase beneath it, but cobwebs suggested no one had come through there recently. The ransom note was written on paper from a notepad in the Ramsey home, using a pen also from the house. Handwriting experts couldn't definitively match it to Patsy or John, but some similarities to Patsy's writing raised questions. A strange mark on JonBenet's body looked like it could be from a stun gun, and fibers from the home were found on the tape. Almost immediately, suspicion fell on the family. The media frenzy was intense. JonBenet's pageant videos were played endlessly on TV, painting a picture of a glamorous but perhaps troubled life. Theories exploded. Did Patsy accidentally hurt JonBenet in a fit of rage, maybe over bedwetting, and stage a kidnapping? Was brother Burke involved in some accident that escalated? Or was it an intruder who knew the family well? If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills, and comment below. What do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. The Boulder Police Department focused heavily on the Ramseys. John and Patsy hired lawyers and initially refused formal interviews. They did speak publicly, proclaiming their innocence. Burke, who was 9 at the time, was also questioned. In 1999, a grand jury voted to indict John and Patsy on charges of child abuse resulting in death and accessory to a crime, but the district attorney at the time decided not to prosecute, citing insufficient evidence. Years went by with no arrests. False confessions came and went. One man named John Mark Carr claimed responsibility in 2006, but his DNA didn't match. Then, a breakthrough in 2008. Touch DNA from an unknown male was found on JonBenet's clothing, mixed with her blood. This DNA didn't match any Ramsey family member. The new district attorney formally exonerated the family in a letter, apologizing for the suspicion they endured. But the case didn't end there. Critics argued the DNA could be from manufacturing or innocent transfer. The police never fully shifted away from family theories in some eyes. Patsy Ramsey passed away in 2006 from cancer, still fighting to clear her name. John Ramsey has continued advocating for justice, pushing for advanced DNA testing. Fast forward to today, nearly 29 years later. In late 2025, Boulder police announced they have new evidence being tested, including items like the garrote and other objects from the scene that weren't fully examined with modern technology before. They've conducted new interviews based on tips and are working with experts in genetic genealogy. The same techniques that have solved dozens of cold cases recently. John Ramsey says he's more hopeful now than ever. He believes the unknown DNA holds the key, and with today's tools, it could lead to a match in databases. Who killed John Benet? Was it a pedophile intruder who targeted her because of her pageant fame? Someone with a grudge against John Ramsey's company? Or something closer to home that evidence hasn't fully revealed? Theories abound. Some point to the pineapple in John Benet's stomach. She had eaten some undigested fruit shortly before death, and a bowl of pineapple was found in the kitchen with Burke's fingerprints. Others focus on the odd ransom amount or the practice note left in the pad. Despite thousands of tips and endless scrutiny, no one has been charged. The case file is massive, and Boulder police say it's still a top priority. John Benet's story reminds us of a child's innocence lost too soon, and a mystery that refuses to fade. Her brother Burke has largely stayed out of the public eye, and John continues to seek answers. What do you think happened that night? Was it an intruder, the family, or something else entirely? Share your theories in the comments below. I read them all. If this case chilled you, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly dives into the dark. Your support helps keep these stories alive. Thanks for joining me tonight. Stay safe and we'll uncover another mystery soon. Good night. Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. I'm your narrator, and tonight, we're exploring one of the most terrifying and elusive serial killer cases in history, the Zodiac Killer, a shadowy figure who terrorized Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s, claiming at least 5 lives while boasting of many more. The Zodiac's reign of terror began on December 20, 1968, in Vallejo, California. 2 teenagers, David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, were on their first date. Parked on a quiet lover's lane along Lake Herman Road, they were suddenly attacked. David was shot in the head at point-blank range. Betty Lou tried to run, but was gunned down with 5 bullets in her back. No motive, no witnesses, just a brutal execution-style killing. Police were baffled. There were tire tracks nearby, suggesting the killer had parked and approached on foot. Less than 7 months later, on July 4, 1969, another young couple was targeted in Blue Rock Springs Park, also in Vallejo. Darlene Ferrin, 22, and Michael Majot, 19, were sitting in Darlene's car when a man approached with a flashlight, blinding them before opening fire with a 9mm pistol. Darlene died from multiple gunshot wounds. Michael survived, despite being shot in the face, jaw, and shoulder. He described the attacker as a white man, about 5'8" to 5'9", heavy-set, with short brown hair. Just minutes after the attack, a man called the Vallejo Police Department from a payphone nearby, calmly reporting the murders and claiming responsibility for the Faraday-Jensen killings too. He ended the call with a chilling laugh. Then came the letters. Starting in late July 1969, cryptic notes arrived at 3 San Francisco Bay Area newspapers, the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald. Each contained 1/3 of a 408 symbol cipher, along with details only the killer would know about the crimes. The writer demanded the ciphers be published on the front page or he would go on a killing rampage. The letters were signed with a crossed circle symbol, like a gun sight. The author claimed to be collecting slaves for the afterlife and bragged about his kills. The 408 symbol cipher was cracked within a week by a school teacher and his wife. It rambled about enjoying killing because it was so much fun, comparing victims to game and saying there was no satisfaction in the afterlife without slaves. On September 27, 1969, the Zodiac struck again at Lake Berryessa in Napa County. College students Cecilia Shepard, 22, and Brian Hartnell, 20, were picnicking by the water when a man in a hooded executioner-style costume, complete with the crossed circle symbol on his chest, approached them. He claimed to be an escaped convict needing their car to flee to Mexico. He tied them up with pre-cut plastic clothesline, then stabbed them repeatedly. Brian survived after hours of agony. Cecilia died 2 days later from her wounds. Brian described the attacker's voice as calm and monotone. The killer then called the Napa County Sheriff's Office from a payphone, leaving a message with details of the crime and referencing the earlier murders. The final confirmed attack came on October 11, 1969 in San Francisco. Cab driver Paul Stein, 29, was shot in the head at point-blank range in the Presidio Heights neighborhood. Witnesses saw the killer wiping down the cab before fleeing. This time, the Zodiac took a piece of Stein's bloody shirt as a trophy, which he later mailed to newspapers as proof. The letters continued into the 1970s. He sent more ciphers, including the infamous 340 symbol one, solved only in 2020, which taunted police and denied suicide theories. Another short cipher, Z13, promised his identity. He claimed 37 victims total, though only 5 are confirmed linked by evidence. Possible additional murders include Sherry Jo Bates in Riverside in 1966, and the abduction of Kathleen Johns in 1970. The Zodiac mocked police relentlessly, sending greeting cards, a Halloween card with threats, and even a map with a bomb diagram. He threatened to shoot schoolchildren off a bus, but never followed through. At least not that we know. Suspects came and went. Arthur Lee Allen was the prime one for decades. Fingerprints and handwriting didn't match, but circumstantial evidence piled up. He owned similar weapons, lived nearby, and a friend said he talked about hunting people with a flashlight gun. Allen died in 1992, without charges. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills and comment below, what do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. Other theories link the Zodiac to unsolved murders across California, even as far as the 1947 Black Dahlia case, though most dismiss that as too far-fetched. The case went cold for decades, but technology kept hope alive. DNA from licked stamps on letters was partial and contaminated, ruling out some suspects but never matching anyone definitively. Then, just days ago, on December 22, 2025, a bombshell dropped. Investigative consultant Alex Baber, a self-taught codebreaker, announced he had cracked the unsolved Z13 cipher using AI, cryptography, and new census data. The solution: Marvin Merrill, an alias for Marvin Margolis, a man who died in 1993. Margolis was a former Marine medic with surgical skills, marksmanship training, and a volatile history. He was briefly a suspect in the Black Dahlia murder back in 1947. He knew Elizabeth Short, lied to police about their relationship, and even had a bayonet from the war that matched wounds in Zodiac attacks. Baber found more links: a 1992 sketch by Margolis as he died of cancer, titled Elizabeth, with Zodiac hidden in the shading. Handwriting comparisons, military records, and even the keyword Elizabeth used in another cipher all point to the same man. Retired LAPD detectives who reviewed Baber's evidence called it overwhelming circumstantial proof. Former NSA cryptographers verified the cipher solutions. Baber says it's mathematically impossible for it not to be him. Police have been notified, but since Margolis is long dead and DNA evidence is degraded, the cases may never be officially closed. Skeptics say he was cleared in 1947, and some details don't align perfectly. But for many, this feels like the breakthrough we've waited over 50 years for. Two of America's darkest unsolved cases, Black Dahlia and Zodiac, linked to one sadistic killer who left breadcrumbs in codes and taunts. The Zodiac's terror changed California forever. Lovers' lanes emptied, gun sales spiked, and fear gripped the Bay Area. Victims' families have lived with endless questions. Is Marvin Margolis the Zodiac? Did he also mutilate Elizabeth Short? Or is there still a phantom out there? What do you think? Did Alex Baber finally solve it? Or are we missing something? Share your theories in the comments below. I read them all. If this case chilled you, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly dives into the dark. Your support helps keep these stories alive. Thanks for joining me tonight. Stay safe, and we'll uncover another mystery soon. Good night. Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight, we're heading to the quiet town of Delphi, Indiana, to explore one of the most heartbreaking and frustrating unsolved double murders of recent years. The killings of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, two teenage best friends whose lives were cut short on a sunny February day in 2017. Abigail "Abby" Williams was 13 years old, a bright 8th grader who loved music, playing the saxophone, and spending time with friends. Liberty "Libby" German, 14, was an outgoing girl with a passion for volleyball, photography, and science. The two were inseparable, often staying over at each other's houses and sharing everything. On February 13, 2017, it was an unseasonably warm day for winter in Indiana. The girls had the day off from school and convinced Libby's older sister, Kelsey, to drop them off at the historic Manon High Bridge Trail, a popular hiking spot with an old abandoned railroad bridge offering scenic views. They planned to hike and take photos, with Kelsey's dad set to pick them up around 3 p.m. Kelsey dropped them off near the trails around 1:30 p.m. The girls posted Snapchat photos of their adventure, including one of Libby walking across the weathered bridge, smiling in the sunlight. When pickup time came, the girls didn't show up at the meeting spot. Calls went unanswered. By evening, family grew worried and alerted police. A massive search began that night, involving hundreds of volunteers, dogs, helicopters, and divers scouring the area around Deer Creek. The next morning, February 14th, Valentine's Day, the unimaginable happened. Searchers found the bodies of Abby and Libby about half a mile from the bridge, down an embankment near the creek. They had been murdered. Details of how they died have never been fully released to the public, but authorities confirmed it was violent. Throat wounds were involved, and there were signs of a struggle. What made this case explode nationally was something Libby did in her final moments. On her phone, she captured audio and a brief grainy video of a man approaching them on the bridge. The video shows a middle-aged white man in jeans, a blue jacket, and a cap, walking with his hands in his pockets. The audio captures a man's voice saying, "Guys, down the hill." That clip, released by police days later, sent chills across the country. Tips poured in, thousands upon thousands. Composite sketches were created, one early version and a more detailed one in 2019 of a younger-looking man with a goatee. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash. Like if it gave you chills, and comment below, what do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. The investigation was massive. The FBI got involved, offering rewards up to $250,000. Police interviewed hundreds, followed leads across states, even drained ponds and searched abandoned buildings. In 2019, police released a second video clip from Libby's phone, showing more of the suspect's walk, and updated the sketch. They hinted the killer might be hiding in plain sight, perhaps even attending press conferences about the case. Suspects came and went. Early on, there were persons of interest, like a man who posted creepy photos from the trail that day. But he was cleared. Rumors swirled about local men with criminal histories. Then, in October 2022, a breakthrough, or so it seemed. Richard Allen, a 50-year-old local pharmacist from Delphi who worked at the CVS where the girls sometimes shopped, was arrested. He lived just minutes from the crime scene. How did they zero in on him? An unprocessed tip from 2017 resurfaced. Someone reported seeing a man matching the description, muddy and bloody, coming off the trails that day. Allen reportedly admitted to police in 2017 that he was on the trail, watching for fish, but denied seeing the girls. Bullet evidence linked him. An unspent .40 caliber round found near the bodies matched a gun from Allen's home. Phone data and witness statements placed him there. Allen was charged with 2 counts of murder. The case seemed headed to trial quickly, but things got complicated and controversial. Allen's defense team argued contamination of evidence, prosecutorial misconduct, and alternative theories. They pointed to Odinism, a pagan religion, claiming ritualistic elements at the scene, like sticks arranged in symbols. and linked it to local men with white supremacist ties who practiced it. Leaked documents, judge changes, and accusations flew. In 2024, the original prosecutors were removed after leaks, and special prosecutors took over. As of late 2025, the case remains in limbo. Richard Allen's trial, delayed multiple times, is now set for 2026 amid ongoing appeals and motions. Allen has pleaded not guilty and maintains his innocence from jail, where he's been held in solitary for years. Meanwhile, the families wait. Libby's grandmother has become a vocal advocate, pushing for justice and child safety. Abby's mom speaks out about the pain of loss. Recent developments in 2025 include more sealed hearings and debates over evidence admissibility. Some experts question if Allen acted alone, or if there's more to the story. The defense continues to push third-party perpetrator theories. 8 years on, the Delphi murders grip the nation. That bridge, once a peaceful spot, is now a place of pilgrimage and sorrow. The girls' Snapchat photos and Libby's brave recording remind us of their spirit, and the evil that took them. Was Richard Allen the man on the bridge, the voice saying, "Down the hill"? Or is the real killer still out there, watching as an innocent man fights for his life? The evidence seems strong against Allen, but the delays and controversies leave doubts lingering. What do you think? Guilty, innocent, or part of a bigger picture? Share your theories in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night. Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight we're traveling to a quiet suburban street in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, to uncover one of the strangest and most enduring unsolved disappearances in American history: the vanishing of the Sauter children on Christmas Eve, 1945. George and Jenny Sauter were Italian immigrants who had built a comfortable life in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George ran a successful trucking company, and the couple had 10 children. They were a close-knit family, well-liked in their community, though George's outspoken criticism of Mussolini had earned him a few enemies in the local Italian-American circle years earlier. Christmas Eve 1945 started like any other holiday. The children opened a few early gifts, played with new toys, and were sent to bed around 10:30 p.m. The older daughters, Marion and Sylvia, stayed up a little longer, and Jenny went to sleep around 11 p.m. George, exhausted from work, also turned in early. The house was a two-story wooden frame home, filled with the warmth of the holiday season. Then, in the middle of the night, everything changed. Around 1 a.m., Jenny was awakened by the sound of something hitting the roof, followed by a rolling noise. She assumed it was just the weather, or maybe holiday fireworks. She went back to sleep. 30 minutes later, she woke again. This time, to the smell of smoke and the crackle of flames. Fire was raging through the house. Jenny screamed for the family to get out. George, Jenny, and 4 of their children, Marion, Sylvia, George Jr., and John, managed to escape through doors and windows. Another son, Joe, was away serving in the army, but 5 of the children were still upstairs. Morris, 14, Martha, 12, Louis, 9, Jenny, 8, and Betty, 5. They never came down. George tried desperately to reach them. He grabbed his ladder to climb to the second-floor windows, but the ladder, usually kept by the house, was missing. It was later found thrown down an embankment nearby. He attempted to drive his coal trucks up to the house to climb onto the roof, but both trucks mysteriously refused to start, even though they had worked perfectly hours earlier. Neighbors called the fire department from a nearby town, but the response was delayed for hours. The fire burned uncontrollably, reducing the house to ashes in less than 45 minutes, an unusually fast burn for a wooden home, according to some experts. When the flames died down, investigators sifted through the rubble expecting to find remains of the 5 missing children, but nothing was found. No bones, no teeth, no trace of human remains at all. The official explanation was that the fire, possibly started by faulty wiring, had been so intense that it completely cremated the bodies. The Sauters never accepted that. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills and comment below, what do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. For one thing, household appliances like stoves and tools were found intact in the basement, barely damaged, hardly consistent with a fire hot enough to destroy human bones. Modern cremation requires temperatures over 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit for hours and controlled conditions. A house fire, even a fierce one, rarely reaches that intensity long enough to leave nothing behind. Then, there were the strange events leading up to the night. Months earlier, a life insurance salesman had visited the Sauter home and, angry that George turned him down, warned, "Your house will go up in smoke, and your children are going to be destroyed." Another man was seen tampering with the house's electrical lines around the same time. On the very night of the fire, Jenny remembered a phone call around midnight. She answered, hearing a woman laughing and strange music in the background. Then the caller hung up. Marion also recalled seeing a man watching the younger children play with their toys earlier that week, from the road, peering through the window. After the fire, the Sauters launched their own investigation. They hired private detectives and offered rewards. Sightings of the children began pouring in. A woman at a Charleston hotel claimed to have seen the 5 children traveling with 4 adults a few days after the fire. Another report came from a motel in South Carolina, where a night clerk saw them in a car with Florida plates. Years later, in 1967, George and Jenny received a photograph in the mail, a young man in his 20s, with features resembling their missing son Louis. On the back was written "Lao, Louis Sauter, I love brother Frankie, lil boys, A90132 or 35, Verspow was their grocery." The Sauters were convinced their children had been kidnapped and the fire set to cover it up. They erected a billboard along Route 16, showing photos of the 5 missing children and offering a growing reward, eventually $10,000 for information. It stood for decades, a haunting landmark that kept the case alive in public memory. Theories ranged widely. Some believed a local mafia or criminal group, angered by George's past comments or business dealings, took revenge by abducting the children. Others suggested the children were taken to Italy and raised there. There were even rumors of a connection to organized crime rings trafficking children. Official investigations found no evidence of foul play. The fire was ruled accidental, caused by faulty wiring, despite the fact that the house lights were still on during the early stages of the blaze, which wouldn't happen if wiring was the cause. The latter, the broken trucks, the missing remains, the threats, all remained unexplained. Jenny Sauter spent the rest of her life researching the case, testing theories about bone survival in fires, and collecting every lead. George passed away in 1969, still searching. Jenny followed in 1989. Their surviving children and grandchildren have carried on the quest. As recently as 2025, family members continue to push for re-examination of the evidence using modern forensic techniques. Some have called for the site to be excavated again with ground-penetrating radar, believing remains or clues might still be buried under years of fill dirt. 80 years later, the 5 Sauter children remain officially missing. No bodies, no arrests, no closure. Was it a tragic accident that burned hotter and cleaner than any expert can explain? Or was it something far darker? A deliberate act that stole 5 young lives from their beds on Christmas morning. The billboard is gone now, but the mystery lives on. What do you believe happened to Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty that night? Accident, abduction, or something else? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night.
Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight, we're stepping back to the gritty streets of 1930s Cleveland, Ohio, during the height of the Great Depression, to uncover one of America's most gruesome and baffling serial killer cases, the Cleveland Torso Murders, also known as the crimes of the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run. Cleveland was a booming industrial city turned desperate by economic collapse. Shantytowns sprang up in areas like Kingsbury Run, a ravine near the Cuyahoga River filled with railroad tracks, homeless camps, and forgotten souls. It was here, amid poverty and despair, that a killer began leaving his horrific calling cards. The first official victims were discovered on September 23, 1935. Two teenage boys playing near Jackass Hill in Kingsbury Run stumbled upon the naked, decapitated bodies of two men. One was Edward Andrashy, a 28-year-old small-time criminal with a troubled life. The other, unidentified at the time, was a middle-aged man. Both had been emasculated, drained of blood, and expertly dismembered with clean surgical cuts. Their heads were found nearby, but the precision suggested the killer had medical knowledge, perhaps a doctor, butcher, or hunter. Just weeks later, on October 5th, the torso of another man was pulled from the river, dismembered in the same way. Then came Florence Polillo on January 26, 1936, a 41-year-old woman known in the red light district, her body cut into pieces and scattered. The murders escalated. In June 1936, a boy's severed head was found near the railroad tracks, leading to a tattooed torso identified as another victim. By July, parts of a young man washed up. Victim number 7 in February 1937, number 8 in June, a woman's remains scattered across the city. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills, and comment below. What do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. The killer taunted authorities. Bodies were posed, chemically treated to slow decomposition, and dumped in visible spots, almost daring police to find them. Most victims were drifters, prostitutes, or unemployed men. People society overlooked, making identification hard. Panic gripped Cleveland. Newspapers sensationalized the Mad Butcher, and the public demanded action. Enter Eliot Ness, the legendary Untouchables leader who took down Al Capone. Fresh off cleaning up corruption as Cleveland's safety director, Ness was tasked with stopping the killer in 1936. Ness assembled a massive team, interrogated thousands, and chased leads. One prime suspect was Dr. Francis Sweeney, a troubled surgeon with a history of alcoholism and family connections to powerful figures. His cousin was a congressman who opposed Ness politically. Sweeney failed 2 early lie detector tests spectacularly, and Ness secretly committed him to a mental institution for observation. But no hard evidence linked him directly, and charges never came. Desperate, Ness took drastic measures. In August 1938, he ordered midnight raids on the shantytowns, burning down the hovels in Kingsbury Run to flush out suspects and clear the dumping grounds. Critics called it cruel, displacing hundreds, but no more bodies appeared in the area afterward. Officially, there were 12 victims between 1935 and 1938, though some believe up to 20 or more, with possible links to earlier killings in Pennsylvania. Only 3 were ever identified: Andrashy, Polillo, and another woman. The rest, known as Victim Zero, the tattooed man, and others, remain nameless, buried in unmarked graves. The killings stopped as abruptly as they started after 1938. Was it because of Ness's aggressive tactics? Did the killer die, move away, or get institutionalized? Suspects abounded. Besides Sweeney, there was Frank Dolezal, a bricklayer arrested in 1939 after confessing under intense interrogation. But his confession was coerced, inconsistencies piled up, and he died suspiciously in jail, ruled a suicide, but many believe murder to close the case. Dolezal didn't fit the profile perfectly. Other theories pointed to a strong, skilled butcher, or even a cop gone rogue. Some linked it to similar dismemberment killings in Pittsburgh and Youngstown. Ness never publicly named his suspect, but reportedly told friends he knew who it was, implying Sweeney. The case tarnished his reputation. He left Cleveland in 1942 amid controversy. Fast forward nearly 90 years. The Cleveland torso murders remain unsolved. No arrests, no definitive killer. But in recent years, efforts have renewed. The Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner is working to exhume and identify unidentified victims using modern DNA and forensic genealogy, the tech that's cracked cases like the Golden State Killer. As of late 2025, excavations are planned, and experts hope matching DNA to descendants could reveal victim identities, and perhaps clues to the murderer. Interest has surged too, with new books, podcasts, and even a Netflix film in development based on graphic novels about the case, plus another independent movie filming in Cleveland. The Mad Butcher's shadow still looms over the city. Victims, mostly forgotten by history, were real people stripped of dignity in life and death. Who was the Cleveland torso murderer? Dr. Sweeney, someone protected by influence? Or a phantom who vanished into the Depression-era fog? Elliot Ness took his secrets to the grave in 1957, believing he'd stopped the killer without a trial. What do you think? Was justice served quietly, or is the Mad Butcher one of history's greatest escapes? Share your theories in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night.
Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight we're stepping back to Thanksgiving Eve 1971, over the skies of the Pacific Northwest, to uncover one of the most daring and enduring unsolved crimes in American history, the hijacking by the man known as D.B. Cooper. On November 24, 1971, a nondescript middle-aged man wearing a dark suit, white shirt, narrow black tie and sunglasses boarded Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 in Portland, Oregon. He purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle under the name Dan Cooper, a detail that would later be misreported in the media as D.B. Cooper, a name that stuck forever. Seated in the rear of the Boeing 727, he lit a cigarette and ordered a bourbon and soda. Shortly after takeoff, he handed a flight attendant a note. It claimed he had a bomb in his briefcase. He opened the case briefly to show wires and red sticks resembling dynamite. His demands were clear: $200,000 in $20 bills, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle to refuel the plane upon landing. The pilot alerted air traffic control, and the plane circled Puget Sound for hours while authorities scrambled. Passengers were told it was a minor mechanical issue. In Seattle, the 36 passengers and 2 crew members were released unharmed. The ransom, delivered in a knapsack, was brought aboard, along with the parachutes. Cooper kept the remaining crew on the plane: the pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, and 1 flight attendant. He instructed them to fly toward Mexico City at low altitude, under 10,000 feet, with the landing gear down, flaps lowered, and speed slowed to about 200 miles per hour. The route would take them southeast toward Reno, Nevada for a planned refuel. Around 8 p.m., somewhere over the rugged wilderness of southwestern Washington, a light indicated the rear air stair had been deployed. Cooper had lowered the back stairs of the 727, a unique feature of that aircraft model. With the ransom strapped to his body and a parachute on his back, he vanished into the stormy night, jumping from the plane at around 10,000 feet in freezing rain and high winds. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills and comment below, what do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. The plane landed safely in Reno. Cooper was gone. No trace of him was ever found. No body, no parachute, no significant ransom money spent. The manhunt was massive, the FBI's largest ever at the time. Hundreds of agents combed the suspected drop zone near Ariel, Washington. Soldiers from nearby Fort Lewis searched on foot and by air, but the terrain was dense forest, rivers and mountains, blanketed in winter conditions. Suspicious characters were investigated. One early lead was a man named D.B. Cooper in Oregon, but he was quickly cleared. The alias Dan Cooper came from a Belgian comic book hero, a detail that fueled theories of a clever criminal with international ties. The money was marked with serial numbers recorded by the FBI. None ever surfaced in circulation, except for one small discovery. In 1980, a young boy digging on a sandbar along the Columbia River near Vancouver, Washington, found 3 bundles of rotting $20 bills, about $5,800, matching the ransom. The location, Tina Bar, was downstream from the suspected jump zone, suggesting the money may have washed there. Theories exploded. Did Cooper survive the jump? He was no expert skydiver. He refused military parachutes and chose ones without ripcords that open automatically. The night was pitch black, stormy, with temperatures below freezing. He wore loafers and a business suit, not suitable for wilderness landing. Some said he was a skilled ex-military paratrooper familiar with the area. Others believed he worked for Boeing or the airlines, knowing the 727's unique rear stair feature. Suspects ranged from flight crew insiders to disgruntled employees. One strong candidate was Richard Floyd McCoy Jr., who pulled off a nearly identical hijacking months later in 1972, demanding $500,000 and parachuting out. He was caught and imprisoned but killed in a shootout years later. Similarities were striking, but fingerprints and other evidence didn't match Cooper. The case captivated the nation, inspiring books, movies, songs, and even an annual Cooper convention in the Jump Zone. The FBI chased thousands of leads, interviewing hundreds of suspects. In 2016, the Bureau officially closed the active investigation, citing resources needed elsewhere, but the file remained open for new evidence. Fast forward to 2025. New declassified FBI files, hundreds of pages, have been released, detailing tips, hoaxes, and suspects from the frantic early days. One hoax conned a newspaper out of thousands. More intriguingly, family members of Richard Floyd McCoy have come forward with a parachute and logbook said to match Cooper's gear. Forensic testing is underway, and the FBI is reportedly re-examining ties to McCoy. Independent investigators analyzing Cooper's clip-on tie, left on the plane, found rare metal particles linking to aerospace work, pointing to possible Boeing connections. DNA on the tie has been tested with partial profiles ruling out some suspects, but not yielding a definitive match yet. As of late December 2025, whispers of breakthroughs circulate, advanced genetic genealogy on the tie and ransom straps, plus the McCoy artifacts, have reignited hope. Some experts believe the case could finally close soon. Did D.B. Cooper perish in the jump, his body lost forever in the wilderness? Did he walk away with the money and live quietly? Or was he someone like McCoy, pulling off the perfect crime twice? Over 50 years later, the only unsolved skyjacking in U.S. commercial aviation history endures. No arrests, no body, no fortune spent. Who was Dan Cooper? A desperate man, a thrill seeker, or a criminal genius who outsmarted everyone? What do you think happened that stormy night? Did he survive? Is McCoy the key? Share your theories in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night. Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight we're heading to the rural town of Caledonia, New York in 1979 to explore one of the longest-running unidentified victim cases in American history, the murder of a teenage girl known for decades as Caledonia Jane Doe, later identified as Tammy Jo Alexander. Tammy Jo Alexander was born in 1963 in Georgia and grew up in Brooksville, Florida. Life at home was turbulent. She lived with her mother and stepfather in a challenging environment marked by instability. By her early teens, Tammy had started running away, sometimes hitchhiking with friends as far as California. She was a free-spirited girl with long, strawberry blonde hair, often wearing distinctive clothing like a red windbreaker, and carrying a keychain with a heart pendant. In the fall of 1979, at just 16 years old, Tammy vanished from her Florida home without a trace. No one reported her missing at the time. Her family assumed she was just running away again, as she had before. On November 10, 1979, 2 days after her presumed death, a farmer in Caledonia, a small village in Livingston County, New York, discovered the body of a young girl in a cornfield just off a rural road near Route 20. She had been shot once in the head at close range, and once in the back, then dragged into the field and left face down. There were no signs of sexual assault, but the killer had made little effort to hide the body. The victim had no ID. She was dressed in a red nylon windbreaker with black stripes, corduroy pants, and boys' boots. A unique necklace with an amber stone and autopsy photos showed she had a slight overbite and scars from mole removals. Composite sketches were created and distributed widely, but no one came forward to identify her. For 35 years she remained Caledonia Jane Doe, buried under a headstone with that name in a local cemetery. Leads trickled in. Truckers who frequented nearby diners remembered seeing a girl matching her description eating at a restaurant the day before, possibly with an older man. Witnesses reported seeing her alive near the area, perhaps hitchhiking. Ballistics showed the bullets were .38 caliber, but the gun was never found. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills, and comment below, what do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. The case frustrated investigators. Thousands of missing persons analyses were checked, but nothing matched. Tips suggested she might be from out west or Canada, but all dead ends. Artists created age-progressed images, and her story appeared on missing persons databases and shows like Unsolved Mysteries. Then, in January 2015, a breakthrough. A high school friend of Tammy Jo's half-sister in Florida saw an online composite sketch and thought it looked like Tammy, whom she hadn't seen since childhood. She contacted authorities and DNA from Tammy's family confirmed it. Caledonia. Jane Doe was Tammy Jo Alexander. The identification brought closure to her family, who had long wondered what happened to her. Tammy was exhumed and reburied with her real name. Her mother and relatives expressed relief mixed with grief, learning she had traveled over 1,000 miles north, likely hitchhiking along truck routes. But the killer's identity remained unknown. Investigators now knew Tammy had been in the area briefly, possibly at a truck stop diner where employees recalled a teenage girl with a man who paid for her meal and seemed protective or controlling. The man has never been identified. Suspects emerged over the years. One early lead pointed to a serial killer active in the region, but he was ruled out. Another theory involved a local man with a violent history who died years ago, but no solid links. Ballistics connected the murder weapon to no other crimes definitively. The Livingston County Sheriff's Office never closed the case. They released audio clips of Tammy's voice from old recordings to humanize her and jog memories. Tips still come in, and they've appealed to truckers from the era for information. As of late 2025, on the 46th anniversary of her discovery, Sheriff Thomas Dougherty renewed calls for leads, emphasizing that someone out there knows what happened. Advanced DNA techniques and genetic genealogy, the tools solving so many cold cases, haven't yet yielded a suspect match, but evidence is preserved and ready. Tammy Jo's family holds out hope. Her half-sister Pamela has spoken publicly about the pain of not knowing, while cousins describe always expecting Tammy to return one day. 46 years later, Tammy Jo Alexander's murder remains unsolved. Who picked her up on that fateful trip north? Was it a random act by a stranger, or someone she trusted briefly? The cornfield where she was found is quiet now, but the questions linger. Her story highlights the dangers faced by runaway teens in the 1970s, hitchhiking across the country in search of something better. What do you think happened to Tammy Jo? Do you remember seeing a girl like her at a truck stop in 1979, or have a theory about the man she was with? Share your thoughts and any information in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night. Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight we're heading to the beaches of Adelaide, Australia in late 1948 to unravel one of the world's most enigmatic unsolved cases, the mystery of the Somerton Man, also known as the Tamam Shud case, a puzzle filled with poison, cryptic codes, and a man whose identity defied investigators for over 7 decades. On the evening of November 30th, 1948, witnesses spotted a well-dressed man in his mid-40s lying on Somerton Beach, just south of Adelaide. He was smartly attired in a suit, polished shoes, and a tie, with his arm outstretched as if relaxing. Some saw him move slightly, raising his arm before letting it fall. No one thought much of it. He appeared to be sleeping off a day at the beach. The next morning, December 1st, his body was discovered in the same spot. He was dead. There were no signs of violence, no wounds, no struggle, no disturbance in the sand around him. His pockets held everyday items, bus and train tickets, a pack of cigarettes in an unusual brand wrapper, matches, chewing gum, and a comb. But crucially, no wallet, no identification, and every label meticulously removed from his high-quality clothing. An autopsy revealed something bizarre. His spleen was massively enlarged, 3 times normal size, and there was congestion in his organs, including his brain and stomach. Traces of blood were found in his gut. The pathologist concluded he died from heart failure due to poisoning. But no trace of poison was detected in his system. It was as if an undetectable toxin had been used, or perhaps a rare substance that left no evidence. Suicide, murder, or accident? No one knew. The man was fit, with unusually strong calves and pointed toes, like those of a ballet dancer or someone who wore pointed boots. He had no calluses, suggesting he wasn't a manual laborer. Dental records showed missing teeth in a rare pattern, but no matches came from inquiries worldwide. Months passed with no leads. Then, in January 1949, staff at Adelaide railway station found an unclaimed suitcase checked in on November 30, the day before the body was discovered. Inside were more clothes with labels removed, a stencil kit, a tie, and tools suggesting he might have been a tradesman or engineer. Still no ID. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills and comment below, what do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. The breakthrough came in June 1949. A re-examination of the body uncovered a hidden fob pocket in his trousers. Tucked inside was a tightly rolled scrap of paper with the words Tamam Shud, Persian for it is ended, or finished. The phrase came from the final page of a rare book of poetry, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Police appealed to the public, and soon a local man came forward with a copy of the Rubaiyat he had found discarded in his car around the time of the death. The last page was torn out, matching the scrap perfectly. On the back cover were faint indentations, a series of letters that appeared to be a code. The code looked like this: lines of seemingly random capital letters crossed out in places, with a phone number scribbled below. Despite efforts by cryptographers, including military experts, the code has never been definitively cracked. Some see phone numbers or initials, others believe it's a one-time pad cipher impossible to break without the key. The phone number led to a young nurse named Jessica Thompson, who lived nearby with her child. When shown a plaster cast of the man's face, she reacted strongly, nearly fainting, but denied knowing him. She had given a copy of the Rubaiyat to a man named Alfred Boxall during the war. Boxall was found alive with his copy intact. Speculation exploded. Cold War espionage. The man was a spy, poisoned by enemies or himself. His calf muscles and the timing fit with covert operations in Australia. Or a tragic love affair gone wrong. Jessica's son, Robin, years later showed unusual dental features, matching the Somerton man, sparking rumors of paternity. But DNA tests were inconclusive. Theories ranged from ballet dancer to criminal to Soviet agent. The book, the code, the poison, all pointed to something deliberate and hidden. For decades, the case fascinated the world. Books, documentaries, and endless debates ensued. The man was buried in Adelaide, his grave marked the unknown man. Then, in 2022, researcher Derek Abbott and genealogist Colleen Fitzpatrick used DNA from hair trapped in the plaster cast. Through genetic genealogy, the same method that caught the Golden State Killer, they identified him as Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne born in 1905. Webb had vanished from his life around 1947, separated from his wife with no children. Webb matched the description: age, build, rare ear and tooth features confirmed by family photos. He had a brother-in-law who lived near Jessica Thompson, possibly explaining the connection. As of late 2025, authorities have accepted this identification, exhuming the body for final confirmation. But the identification solved only part of the puzzle. Why was Webb in Adelaide? Did he remove his own labels to disappear? Was the poison suicide amid personal turmoil, perhaps heartbreak or depression, or murder? The code in the book, does it mean anything now? Or was it a red herring, perhaps unrelated scribbles? Jessica Thompson took her secrets to the grave in 2007. Her daughter later spoke of her mother's possible spy connections, but nothing proven. As of December 2025, with Carl Webb named, the cause of death remains officially undetermined. Some experts still question if poison was involved at all, perhaps a rare natural condition. The code lingers undeciphered, a final taunt. The Somerton man, no longer unknown, but still a mystery. A man who ended his life, or had it ended, on a quiet beach, leaving behind a poem's final words: "It is finished." Was Carl Webb a broken man seeking escape, a victim of foul play, or something more sinister tied to the shadows of post-war secrets? What do you think? Suicide, murder, spy, or coincidence? Share your theories in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night. Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight, we're returning to one of the most prolific and terrifying serial predators in American history. The man known by many names, the Visalia ransacker, the East Area rapist, the original Night Stalker, and finally, the Golden State Killer. For over a decade, he stalked California, committing at least 13 murders, more than 50 rapes, and over 100 burglaries, evading capture while leaving communities in paralyzing fear. The crimes began in the mid-1970s in Visalia, a quiet Central Valley town. A prowler targeted homes, ransacking drawers, stealing small items like coins or jewelry, but often ignoring valuables. He escalated quickly. In April 1975, he shot and killed journalist Claude Snelling while attempting to abduct his teenage daughter from her bedroom window. By 1976, the attacks shifted north to Sacramento. Single women, then couples, became targets. The East Area rapist would break in at night, often through sliding glass doors. He'd blind victims with a flashlight, tie them up with shoelaces or towels from the home, and threaten them with a knife or gun. Women were raped repeatedly while partners were forced to listen, stacked with dishes on their backs. If the dishes fell, he'd kill everyone. He lingered for hours, eating food from the fridge, whispering taunts like, "I'll kill you next time." The rapes terrorized Sacramento suburbs, over 50 documented attacks from 1976 to 1979. Women slept with weapons, neighborhoods formed patrols. He seemed to know his victims, calling beforehand to whisper threats or checking if they were alone. In 1979, the attacks moved south to Santa Barbara Ventura and Orange County as the original Night Stalker. Now, he killed. Couples were bludgeoned with objects from the home, logs, garden tools, after being bound. Victims included Lyman and Charlene Smith, beaten with a fireplace log. Keith and Patrice Harrington, Manuela Whithone, raped and bludgeoned alone, and Janelle Cruz, an 18-year-old raped and killed in her Irvine home in 1986, the final known attack. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills and comment below, what do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. DNA linked the northern rapes to the southern murders in 2001, coining the name Golden State Killer from author Michelle McNamara's work. The case went cold for decades. Investigators chased thousands of leads, but no match. The breakthrough came in 2018. Detectives uploaded crime scene DNA to a public genealogy site, GDmatch. It matched distant relatives, building a family tree that led to Joseph James D'Angelo, a 72-year-old former police officer living quietly in Citrus Heights, near many early crimes. D'Angelo had been a cop in the 1970s, fired for shoplifting in 1979. Surveillance confirmed they collected his discarded DNA, a perfect match. He was arrested in April 2018. In 2020, to avoid the death penalty, D'Angelo pleaded guilty to 13 murders and 13 kidnappings for robbery, admitting dozens more crimes. In a chilling courtroom moment, he spoke in the high-pitched voice victims remembered from attacks. He was sentenced to life without parole. But the story didn't end there. In late 2025, Sacramento County District Attorney Thien Ho released a new book, The People vs. the Golden State Killer, detailing the prosecution and never-before-shared survivor stories. Ho described D'Angelo as unremarkable in person. A sloppy grandpa, far from the monster imagined. The book reveals how close the case came to falling apart and honors the victim's resilience. D'Angelo, now 80, remains in protective custody at a California state prison. No new charges, but his capture revolutionized cold case solving through genetic genealogy. The Golden State Killer's reign changed California. Home security boomed, communities lived in fear, and trust shattered. Survivors and families endured decades of trauma, some speaking out powerfully at sentencing. How did a former cop evade detection so long? Inside knowledge, luck, or overlooked clues? Michelle McNamara, who popularized the name, passed away before the arrest, but helped keep the case alive. What do you think drove him? And how has this case changed investigations forever? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night. Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight, we're crossing the Atlantic to Victorian-era London to explore the most infamous unsolved serial killer case in history. The murders committed by Jack the Ripper, a phantom who terrorized the Whitechapel district in 1888 and whose identity has eluded the world for over 137 years. London in 1888 was a city of stark contrasts, wealthy West End glamour alongside the squalid poverty of the East End. Whitechapel was overcrowded, rife with crime, alcoholism, and prostitution. Thousands of impoverished women turned to the streets to survive, making them easy targets in the gaslit alleys. The killings attributed to Jack the Ripper began in earnest with Mary Ann Nichols on August 31st. She was found in Bucks Row, her throat slashed so deeply she was nearly decapitated, with deep abdominal mutilations. Just a week later, on September 8th, Annie Chapman was discovered in the backyard of 29 Hanbury Street, her throat cut, intestines removed and placed over her shoulder, uterus taken as a trophy. The frenzy escalated on September 30th, known as the double event. Elizabeth Stride was killed in Dutfield's yard, her throat slashed but little else, perhaps interrupted by a passerby. Less than an hour later, Catherine Eddowes was found in Mitre Square, brutally mutilated, face slashed, intestines draped over her shoulder, kidney and uterus removed with surgical precision. The final canonical victim was Mary Jane Kelly on November 9th, in her room at Miller's Court. She suffered the most horrific injuries, her face hacked beyond recognition, body eviscerated, organs arranged around the room, heart missing. The killer had time here, turning the scene into a slaughterhouse. These 5 women, Nichols, Chapman, Stride, Eddowes and Kelly, are considered the canonical Ripper victims, linked by similar methods, locations and escalating savagery. But some believe there were more, up to 11, in the broader Whitechapel murders file. The killer taunted authorities with letters. One, the Dear Boss letter signed Jack the Ripper, a name that stuck and spread through the press. Another, the From Hell letter, arrived with half a human kidney, claiming it was from Eddowes. Whether genuine or hoaxes, they fueled public hysteria. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills and comment below, what do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. Police investigated hundreds of suspects. Montague John Druitt, a barrister who drowned himself shortly after the murders. Aaron Kosminski, a Polish immigrant with mental illness noted in police memos as a strong suspect. Surin Kłosowski, alias George Chapman, a poisoner, hanged later. Even members of the royal family were whispered about. Prince Albert Victor or his tutor, tied to wild conspiracy theories involving cover-ups. The murders highlighted police shortcomings, no forensics, like DNA, poor coordination between forces, contaminated scenes. The press sensationalized everything, blaming immigrants or the upper class. The killings stopped abruptly after Kelly. Did the Ripper die, move away, get committed, or simply stop? For over a century, the case obsessed the world. Books, tours, films, suspects numbered in the dozens, from butchers to doctors to artists like Walter Sickert. Then, breakthroughs came with modern science. In 2014, DNA on a shawl linked to Eddowes pointed to Aaron Kosminski. But contamination questions lingered. As recently as February 2025, a new study re-examined mitochondrial DNA from crime scene evidence and letters, again pointing strongly to a Polish barber named Chaim Hyams, or wait, sources conflict, with some naming Aaron Kosminski definitively based on enhanced analysis. Experts used advanced sequencing to match semen and blood traces, claiming statistical certainty. Yet controversy erupted. Critics say the evidence chain is broken, items handled by many over years, possible contamination. The study, published in a forensic journal, was challenged by ripperologists who argue the DNA is inconclusive and the suspect doesn't perfectly fit timelines or witness descriptions. As of late December 2025, Scotland Yard has not officially closed the case, and debates rage in true crime communities. Some hail it as solved, others say the Ripper's identity dies with doubt. Jack the Ripper claimed at least 5 lives, exposing the horrors of Victorian poverty and changing criminology forever, sparking better policing, media ethics discussions, and the birth of criminal profiling. The women, mostly forgotten in their time, now have names remembered: Mary Ann, Annie, Elizabeth, Catherine, Mary Jane. Their stories remind us they were mothers, daughters, struggling to survive. Is the case finally closed with a name from DNA, or will Jack the Ripper remain the ultimate enigma, a shadow slipping through history's grasp? What do you think? Solved in 2025 or forever unknown? Share your theories in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night. Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight we're heading to the snowy wilderness of Clear Lake Oaks, California, in 1980, to explore one of the most bizarre and enduring unidentified victim cases in American history: the murder of a young woman known for over 4 decades as Orange Socks, a name given because that's all she wore below the waist when her body was found. Her real identity remained a secret until a stunning DNA breakthrough in recent years. On Halloween morning, October 31st, 1980, a highway worker driving along Interstate 35 near Georgetown, Texas, hundreds of miles from California, was checking culverts when he spotted what looked like a discarded mannequin in a ditch. It was the nude body of a young woman, lying face down, with only a pair of orange socks on her feet. She had been strangled with brute force, her hyoid bone crushed, and there were signs of sexual assault. No clothes, no jewelry except a silver ring on her finger, no ID. Insects suggested she'd been killed and dumped within the previous day. The victim was estimated to be between 15 and 25 years old, about 5'11" to 5'10", tall for a woman at the time, with long reddish-brown hair and unpainted toenails matching the orange socks. An autopsy revealed she had given birth at some point, and she had distinctive dental work and healed fractures in her ribs and foot. Composite sketches were made showing a pretty young woman with a slight overbite. Investigators canvassed truck stops and motels along the highway, a major trucking route. Witnesses recalled seeing a tall girl hitchhiking in the area, perhaps with a man in a pickup truck. Tips came in suggesting she was a runaway from Florida or Arkansas, but nothing panned out. Her fingerprints didn't match any records, and dental charts circulated nationwide brought no identification. The case quickly drew suspicion toward notorious serial killer Henry Lee Lucas, a drifter who confessed to hundreds of murders in the early 1980s, many later proven false as he sought notoriety. Lucas claimed he picked up Orange Socks hitchhiking in Oklahoma, had sex with her, then strangled her when she demanded money. He even knew details not publicly released, like the orange socks and the ring. Lucas was convicted of her murder in 1984 and sentenced to death, boasting about it from prison. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills and comment below, what do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. But doubts crept in. Lucas's confessions were wildly inconsistent. He claimed kills in states he couldn't have been in. A major task force later debunked most of his stories as lies fed by police eager for closures. For Orange Socks, timelines didn't align perfectly, and no physical evidence tied him directly. Still, her case stayed linked to him, buried in his shadow. Decades passed. Orange Socks was buried in an unmarked grave in Georgetown. Her case file grew dusty, one of thousands of unidentified does in America. Investigators periodically re-examined evidence, hoping for DNA advances. The breakthrough came slowly. In 2019, forensic genetic genealogy, the revolutionary technique using public DNA databases to build family trees, finally cracked her identity. She was Deborah Jackson, a 23-year-old from Abilene, Texas, who had run away from home as a teen, living a transient life in the Southwest. Family members submitted DNA, confirming the match. Deborah had worked odd jobs, struggled with personal issues, and was known to hitchhike, but identification brought new pain. Deborah's family had searched quietly for years, never knowing she was the famous Orange Socks doe. Her mother had passed away without answers. Relatives described her as kind-hearted but restless, often heading to California dreaming of a better life. Perhaps that's why early searches missed Texas connections. With her name restored, focus shifted back to the killer. Henry Lee Lucas died in prison in 2001, his death sentence commuted. Many now believe he falsely confessed to Orange Socks, part of his hoax spree. Cleared of some crimes posthumously, doubt lingers here too. No DNA from the scene matched him, and his details could have come from media leaks. Investigators reopened the case fully after the ID, In 2023, Texas Rangers announced they were pursuing new leads, retesting evidence with modern methods. Semen and hair from the scene yielded partial profiles, uploaded to databases. As of late 2025, whispers of progress circulate in cold case circles. Advanced forensic genealogy has reportedly narrowed suspects to a small group, possibly truckers or drifters along I-35 in 1980. One person of interest, a long-haul driver who died years ago, has living relatives whose DNA is being sought for comparison. Authorities haven't named anyone publicly, but they've conducted fresh interviews and dug into old trucker logs. Deborah's family advocates tirelessly, pushing for justice. Her sister has spoken in podcasts, humanizing the woman behind the grim nickname. A proper headstone now marks her grave. Deborah Jean Jackson, 1956-1980. 45 years later, was it a random predator on the highway, a spurned acquaintance from her travels, or did Lucas tell the truth just this once? The orange socks, a simple, haunting detail, still puzzle experts. Were they all she had left? A gift? Or something more sinister? Deborah Jackson deserved better than to be reduced to footwear and death. Her story warns of the dangers hitchhiking women faced in that era, invisible to many. Who took Deborah's life that Halloween Eve? Is the real killer long gone, or could answers finally come with today's technology? What do you think? False confession by Lucas, or something else? Share your theories in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night. Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight, we're heading to the sun-baked streets and desolate outskirts of Albuquerque, New Mexico, to uncover one of the largest unsolved serial killer cases in American history. The West Mesa murders, perpetrated by an unknown predator dubbed the West Mesa Bone Collector. Between 2001 and 2005, at least 11 women and one unborn child vanished from the city's fringes, only to be discovered years later in a mass grave on the barren West Mesa, a remote, undeveloped plateau on the edge of town. This case exposes the vulnerability of marginalized women, the challenges of investigating crimes against sex workers, and a killer who has evaded justice for over 2 decades. Albuquerque in the early 2000s was a growing city with a dark underbelly. The International District along Central Avenue was known for drugs, prostitution, and transient lives. Many young women struggling with addiction or poverty worked the streets to survive. They were daughters, sisters, mothers, often Latina, in their teens to 30s, disappearing without much notice at first. The victims shared striking similarities. Most were involved in sex work and drugs. They included Jamie Barella, 15, who dreamed of a better life; Victoria Chavez, 26, a mother trying to get clean; Michelle Valdez, 22, pregnant at the time of her disappearance; Veronica Romero, 28, Cinnamon Elks, 32, Doreen Marquez, 23, Julie Nieto, 21, Selenia Edwards, 15, Martha Quintana, 23, and Virginia Cloven, 25. Another, Anna Love Wells, remains unidentified in some connections, but the core 11 plus the fetus form the primary group. These women vanished one by one from 2003 to 2005, with some earlier links back to 2001. Families reported them missing, but police often treated them as runaways or voluntary disappearances, common for those in high-risk lifestyles. Tips trickled in, but no bodies surfaced and the cases went cold. Everything changed on February 2, 2009. A woman walking her dog on the West Mesa, an area of scrubland and arroyos west of the city, noticed her dog digging at something unusual, a human bone protruding from the dirt. Police arrived and began excavating. What they uncovered was horrifying. A mass burial site spanning about 100 acres, with remains scattered in shallow graves. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills, and comment below. What do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. Over the next months, archaeologists and investigators unearthed the bones of 11 women and one fetus. The site was near a new housing development, Construction had disturbed the area, possibly exposing the first bone. Satellite images later revealed tire tracks and disturbed earth dating back to the disappearance period, suggesting the killer buried them methodically over years. Autopsies showed most died from foul play, strangulation, blunt force, but details were limited due to decomposition. The women were buried nude or partially clothed, dumped unceremoniously. No murder weapons or direct evidence tied the scenes, but the grouping screamed serial killer. Police dubbed him the West Mesa Bone Collector. A $100,000 reward was offered. The FBI profiled him as likely a local man, perhaps a trucker or someone familiar with the isolated Mesa, possibly posing as a client to lure victims. He targeted vulnerable women, exploiting the fact that their disappearances wouldn't raise immediate alarms. Suspects emerged quickly. One prime was Lorenzo Montoya, a local man who strangled a teenage sex worker in 2006 and was killed by her boyfriend. Items linked to victims were rumored in his home, but he was dead, and no direct ties held. Another was Fred Reynolds, a pimp with a violent history, but he was cleared. Then Joseph Blee, a convicted rapist whose wife found women's jewelry in their home. Blee cruised areas where victims worked, and DNA linked him to unrelated assaults, but not the murders. Fair connections drew attention. Many victims attended the New Mexico State Fair, held annually in Albuquerque. Photos from the fair showed men lurking near some women, but identifications failed. The investigation was massive. Hundreds interviewed, tips from across the country. Police looked at similar cases in other states, wondering if the killer moved. But leads dried up, corruption allegations and resource strains hampered progress. Families fought for attention. They held vigils, created memorials, and pushed for the case to stay active. A documentary and podcasts renewed interest, highlighting how these women were overlooked in life. As of early 2026, the case remains unsolved. No arrests, no charges. The Albuquerque Police Department says it's still open, with evidence preserved for future DNA advances. Genetic genealogy, the tool cracking so many codes, hasn't yielded a match yet, but detectives hope new databases or retesting will. In 2025, renewed media coverage, including podcasts and articles marking anniversaries, brought fresh tips. Some point to a possible trucker due to the I-40 corridor nearby. Others speculate multiple killers, though most experts say one organized predator. The West Mesa site is now monitored, with a makeshift memorial where families leave flowers and photos. The women finally have names and faces remembered. This case shines a light on missing and murdered Indigenous and Latina women, systemic failures in protecting the vulnerable, and how society often ignores those on the margins until tragedy forces attention. The bone collector could still be out there, or dead, his secrets buried. Whoever he was, he preyed on the forgotten, leaving 11 families without closure. Is he a local who blended in, a transient who moved on, or part of a larger network? What do you think? Have a theory or information from that era? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night. Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight, we're stepping into one of the most chilling and controversial unsolved disappearances of the 21st century, the vanishing of Madeleine McCann, a 3-year-old British girl who disappeared from a holiday apartment in Portugal, Praz de Luz, on the evening of May 3, 2007. This case became the most heavily reported missing person story in modern history, sparked endless media frenzy, cost millions in investigations, and remains unsolved nearly 19 years later, with new leads still emerging as recently as 2025. Madeleine Beth McCann was born in 2003 to Kate and Jerry McCann, both doctors from Leicester, England. Bright, energetic, with distinctive blonde hair and a unique coloboma in her right eye, a rare iris defect that made her instantly recognizable. She was the oldest of 3 children, including younger twins. In late April 2007, the McCanns joined a group of British friends on a week-long holiday in the family-friendly Ocean Club Resort in Praia da Luz, a quiet coastal town in Portugal's Algarve region. They stayed in ground floor apartment 5A, just a short walk from the resort's tapas restaurant. On the evening of May 3rd, the group of 9 adults dined together while their children slept in their nearby apartments. The parents followed a checking routine, Every 20-30 minutes, one would walk back to listen at the windows, or briefly enter the rooms. Kate and Jerry last checked on Madeline and the twins around 9 p.m. Everything was fine. At 10 p.m. Kate returned to the apartment and discovered the nightmare no parent can imagine. The bedroom window was open, the shutters raised, and Madeline's bed was empty. The twins were still asleep, undisturbed. Kate screamed, "She's gone!" The group frantically searched the resort, the beach, and surrounding streets. Police were called at 10:40 p.m. From that moment, the case exploded. Hundreds of police, firefighters, and volunteers scoured the area with dogs. The media descended in force. Madeline's face, with that striking eye mark, was plastered across front pages worldwide. The McCanns launched an unprecedented campaign. Posters, websites, celebrity endorsements, and a fund that raised millions. Early investigation focused on an abduction. Witnesses reported seeing a man carrying a child in pajamas toward the beach around 9:15, 9:30, Turi, and on the Stoffrey. Pine Mystery and Tanner sighting. One friend claimed to see a man with a child near the apartment. Another couple noticed a suspicious man hanging around the complex days earlier. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills, and comment below. What do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. Portuguese police initially treated it as a stranger abduction, but mishandled evidence. The apartment wasn't sealed quickly, allowing contamination. Cadaver and blood dogs from the UK later alerted to scents in the apartment, rental car, and Kate's clothes, suggesting death and movement of a body. This shifted suspicion dramatically onto the parents. In September 2007, Kate and Jerry were named Arguido's formal suspects, amid theories of accidental overdose of sedatives, panic, and cover-up. The lead detective, Goncalo Amaral, published a book claiming Madeline died in the apartment and the parents staged an abduction. The McCanns sued and won libel damages, but the damage was done. Public opinion fractured. The initial investigation was criticized heavily. Poor coordination, leaked information, and tunnel vision. The Arguido status was lifted in 2008 for lack of evidence, and the case was shelved. The McCanns never stopped fighting. They hired private investigators, pursued leads worldwide, and kept Madeline's name alive. Operation Grange, a UK police review launched in 2011, cost over $13 million and treated it as an abduction by a stranger. Breakthroughs came slowly. In 2013, British police identified new suspects and EFIT images. Then, in 2020, German authorities announced a major development. Christian Bruckner, a convicted pedophile and rapist, then 43, became the prime suspect. Bruckner was living in the Algarve from 1995 to 2007, in a camper van, committing burglaries and drug dealing. Phone records placed him near the Ocean Club the night Madeleine vanished. He received a call just 500 meters away, around 7:30 p.m. He allegedly confessed to a friend in 2008 that she didn't scream, and bragged about knowing the case. Stolen videos and photos of child abuse were found on his property, along with a reference to Madeleine in online chats. In 2022, Portuguese authorities officially named him an Arguido. German prosecutors charged him with unrelated sexual offenses in the Algarve between 2000 and 2017, believing he abducted and killed Madeleine, though they haven't charged him with her murder due to insufficient, direct evidence. As of early 2026, the case remains active on multiple fronts. In late 2025, Operation Grange received additional UK funding to continue, focusing on Bruckner. German police conducted fresh searches of his former properties and a reservoir he frequented, finding items like children's swimwear but no direct link to Madeleine. Bruckner, currently serving a 7-year sentence for raping a 72-year-old woman in Praia da Luz in 2005, denies involvement. His lawyers claim the evidence is circumstantial: phone pings, boastful conversations, and proximity. No body, no DNA, no confession on record. The McCanns maintain hope. Kate and Jerry, now in their 50s, continue to release statements on anniversaries. They believe Madeleine is still alive, though police lean toward the worst. The twins, now teenagers, live as normal a life as possible. Controversies persist. Theories range from abduction by a child trafficking ring, to death in the apartment, to Bruckner as the culprit. Internet sleuths and documentaries keep speculation alive, sometimes harming the investigation. Madeleine would be 22 years old today. Her disappearance changed child safety on holidays forever. Parents rarely leave children alone now, and highlighted flaws in international cooperation. Is Christian Bruckner the monster who took her? Will evidence ever surface to charge him? Or is the truth buried deeper, with someone else, entirely? Nearly 2 decades on, the question that haunts the world remains. What really happened to Madeleine McCann that night in Praia de Luz? What do you believe? Abduction by Bruckner, tragic accident, or something else? Share your theories in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night.